Okay, that's a really big question because I'm a lot of things.
Not knowing my identity didn't exactly affect me much as a child. I didn't really process it as an issue or something that I was missing. My identity existed alongside me. It almost felt like my imaginary friend that I could sometimes inhabit.
Growing up, I felt fine. I felt normal. I was never really forced into anything. Like, I grew up with a brother. I played with Power Rangers, and I was a big Lego kid.
My parents always told me when I was younger that my walk was kind of weird. They were nicer about it than that, but that was the idea.
Recently, I started reading a fan fiction that was incredibly formative to me. I read it, now 3 times in my life.
I didn't, I guess, have that cringy preteen era where you're like, oh my god, I hate myself, I hate my body. No, instead, that decided to come later for me, and it didn't come in that form. It came in a totally different, completely different ugly beast where it was like, oh my god, are you a woman? What? That's crazy, that's horrible. And next thing you know, I was like, oh wait, yeah, I actually do kind of hate myself, and I hate this body. I don't hate the person in it, but I hate the flesh.
I'd create little puppets with deeper voices than my own and pretend to be them for an evening. But when puberty started and I kind of had to grow up, become a normal person, it just didn't exactly work for me. I knew I missed the performance, the one that I felt comfortable with people seeing. It's something I missed, and I didn't want to be observed outside of that.
Sometimes you don't even notice what's wrong until you live in what's right. I felt like a shell, a husk. I thought I was happy, but the fact of the matter is I just had not experienced true happiness up until that point. It felt like I was going through the motions. I was doing what I thought a regular person does, not what I truly wanted to do.
I walked with my head straight down, my gaze fixed on the ground, and my shoulders rolled over and hunched, and my legs seemingly unwilling to carry me. I was a normal weight and of sound bodily health as a 10-year-old child, but I walked like I was defeated and crushed. My mom used to say I walked like I was much heavier than I was, like something was weighing me down. And for a solid 5 years of my young life, posture and walking coordination was something that I struggled a lot with. Walking upright, looking straight ahead, not slouching, keeping my hips squared, engaging with the world instead of folding in on myself.
I remember reading this fic, which is just sort of a lot of it has to do with just descriptions of a date between 2 men. But I remember looking at this and just feeling why doesn't it feel like that when I am with a man?
I was so scared for so long to indulge in presenting the way that I wanted to, just because I was just scared. I was scared that I would be ugly or that people would hate me. As far as I was concerned, when I was in high school, my life was over as soon as I graduated.
I felt, and I mostly still do, feel like they represent me more than my physical self. There are the parts of myself that I want people to see more than anything. But as I tried on new labels over the years to try and identify this feeling, I had to bury and resurface them countless of times. It became clear that those extensions of myself, those things that I loved, they weren't just tied to me. They were tied to that unnamed imaginary friend from when I was a kid.
It wasn't rocks or bricks or whatever. It was water. Gallons and gallons of dark, heavy, sloshing water. And I moved through the world like I was shielding it, like I was trying to make sure none of it would slosh out with every step I was taking. It was exhausting, not only to carry it, but to work so hard to fight against carrying it, to force myself not to hunch over myself, to be okay with letting the water slosh out. But that, was not the way to fix it, I think. Because ideally, when the water sloshes out, you become lighter, right? But I did not. I really didn't. I was, encumbered deeply, and nothing I could do would, save me.
Yeah, but I noticed that because I have taken such a neutral point to, my own body, I don't associate myself with it. Sometimes I'll, see myself in the mirror, and I'm like, that's not fucking me. But who the fuck is that, you know?
I knew what I wanted to be. I knew what I wanted to have. I knew how I wanted to feel. I simply didn't think that I was deserving of it, was sad enough to go and get it. I didn't think that I was the type of person who was able to do that sort of thing.
And I thought it went away as I got older. You know, you graduate, you get a job, you date people. The things become more important than your posture. And also, you live, and you forget that you weren't always this heavy. There wasn't always this much water, and it wasn't always this hard to walk. You adapt to it, and you get stronger around it, and it's only on the bad days now that you're still waiting there, and the water's still rolling and weighing you down, and that shit is fucking killing you, whether you notice it or not.
I guess I never really had a moment where it all kind of like fell into place. It kind of just like always existed, and it was just a matter of me being like, yeah, I can do that. I could be me, basically.
Realizing my identity wasn't a breakthrough of something new for me personally, but rather picking up the pieces of myself that I left behind and finally putting them back together again. It felt like reuniting with an old friend.
Because coming out also coincided with moving out for me, so I truly overturned my life, and it was such a revolutionary moment. I felt like my eyes were open for the first time in my entire existence. Truly, like, my teen years, yes, I existed as a person, but I feel like now that I am living as myself, my life has truly started. I do feel like my life started at 18.
There's this part of me that wants to reach through that tiny little portal that I rip every time I read this fic that's like, fuck, like, come with me. Like, you can have a better life if you just take my hand, jump through. And, like, time doesn't work like that, but I wish it did.
And the only time I realized that it was there was very recently when I finally went on testosterone that I remembered it. And it's because it was gone. Nearly half my life I spent carrying this, forcing myself to keep moving, keep walking, squaring my hips, looking upwards, minding my posture. But it's easy to walk now. It's finally easy.